motion to have the chair and secretary removed from office. I would like to address it even though it is not valid, because I think it speaks to the problems that this council has had for years and perhaps its lifetime. Those of you who are new to ICOIL, please listen to my words from experience. Unfortunately, in my 4 years with the council, this is how business has been done. The eerie part is that the people who once rallied against this behavior are now the ones participating in it. I have seen a changing of the guard, but strangely, not a change in how they run things. I have seen that if certain people don't like the way you do things, that means to run the silk the way it should be run, they try to run you out by demeaning you and making your life hell. Look at the example of Ramona, who was elected to be your secretary. I noticed that all the complaints about her minutes had to do with length. I heard no mention of their accuracy. And when she asked repeatedly for assistance and comments from council members as to what to remove from the minutes, she received nothing but disparaging, disrespectful comments. Some of you would not have known that because they were sent to her via private email. I can think of 4 other people off the top of my head to whom this has happened just in my 4 years here. What is the mechanism whereby this is happening, and how do we get these gears to stop? The only way I know how is through the truth. I plan on continuing to work on the council to complete my agenda, and so many people have said I have. Now I'm fighting to keep the Indiana silk the way I want it to be. One that will fight for and empower people with disabilities. Not run them off because they are not biased and choose to be led by the truth. I ask those of you who are new to please think about why you chose to vote yes to this motion. Was it because you saw that I did something bad? Or was it because someone told you I did something bad? I demand to see evidence that shows what I did to deserve my name to be associated with the words breach of ethics, misconduct, and dereliction of duty of office. Think about whether you voted yes to this motion because you saw evidence of this, or because you were told that evidence existed. I hope that, like me, you will demand to see that evidence so that you can make an informed decision. After all, that is what the independent living movement is all about, having the choice and the information available to make the right decision. If, after having that evidence, you still wish to approve this motion, then I must accept that. However, I will not let this council run business as usual by bullying people into making a vote or a decision based on untruths, disrespect, and demeaning people who want nothing more than to see this council run like it is supposed to. It must and it will stop here.
Yes. All right.
Therefore, having said all that, I hereby declare that the gathering on the 13th is null and void, and that I am still the interim chair of ICOIL.
Yes.
We will take nominations from the floor next month and have a proper and valid election in December. This will allow for a stable set of officers to be in place after the changing of the state plan in October. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Ramona, who would like to read a statement she has prepared.
Thank you very much. And before I begin, I would like to say that we do have documentation to back up everything that we've said, and we'd be glad to share it with anybody who's interested in front of them to their face. I'm going to read the statement that I prepared.
Your microphone close.
Okay, I can do that. Can you understand me now? Okay. All right. As secretary, I have done nothing but try to do the job I volunteered to do in accordance with our bylaws. I have tried to keep objective, accurate minutes. All of my minutes are consistent with the source documentation of the council meeting. Despite an argument to the contrary, I have been following the direction of the council, and at the direction of the council, my minutes only contain motions, points of orders, votes, quotes when something is said for the record, and brief summaries of what has occurred. As secretary, I do not have the authority to change what happened, only to document what does happen. I have stated consistently and publicly that if the council wishes to make changes to the minutes that are inconsistent with the documentation, this needs to be a council decision which is voted on and not an arbitrary decision I make. I do not want the liability of having independently, as an individual, endorsed something which is either untrue or not been voted on by the council. While it would be easier for me to go with the flow, it would be unethical for me and a dereliction of my duties as secretary to knowingly endorse documents different than what the council voted on, such as the bylaws I received to sign, which had a sentence missing, or to write and endorse official minutes that are inaccurate and designed specifically to hide the fact that we as a council are not doing our jobs. Many council members wish to hide our dirty laundry, and it has even been suggested to me that it is best to get rid of source documents that are used to create minutes. The truth is, people are trying to discredit me, not for a breach of ethics, misconduct, or any dereliction of duties, but a refusal to play the game. I refuse to sell out my integrity, objectivity, honor, and most importantly, I have refused and do refuse to sell out the people with disabilities in Indiana who really do matter and should matter to this council. As secretary, doing a job nobody wished to do, I should be receiving respect and support. But instead, I have been intimidated, bullied, and people have tried to discredit me behind my back.
Order today.
I am not the only one this is happening to. Independent thought or actual leadership and objectivity is actively discouraged. The bylaws give me very specific responsibilities, and yet, when I try to do the duties required of me by the bylaws,
Excuse me,
I'm
15
not
minutes
supported
have passed,
or
it's time to start the meeting.
Order of the meeting. Always make a statement.
and information is kept from me. Excuse me, I have
So
something.
may I recognize the DSU?
Ramona has the floor, please.
As secretary,
Excuse
doing
me.
a job that nobody wished to do, I
Excuse
should
me, I have an announcement I need to make.
Ramona
Harold Mayor has an announcement he needs to make. Why the DSU, one of our partners, excuse me, we need to be respectful of the parties that the ICOIL does have within this state. May I recognize the DSU?
doing a job nobody wished to do, I should be receiving respect and support. Instead, I have been intimidated, bullied, and people have tried to discredit me.
Carol, could you go on and speak?
I am not the one this is happening to. Independent thought and actual leadership.
I have been informed.
You're not a member of this council with a vote. She is.
Empowerment hell. I've got no money and I cannot walk, and when I go to ICOIL, I can't even talk. This is my story I want to tell about my journey through empowerment hell. When it all started, I thought it'd be good. Governor appointed, I'd do all I could. They had no bylaws, and they were a waste of my time. They wanted minutes that would cover their crime. But I didn't know that when I started last May, because I believed all the lies they would say. I didn't have much money, and I never could walk. But in the beginning, they allowed me to talk. They gave me a title and said I'd do well. Then I started my journey through empowerment hell. With no discussion, they forced bylaws through. The ADA was violated because they wanted to, and I had to write the minutes. So what else could I do? So I listened to the tapes and wrote down what was true. The report of findings said we'd done bad, and I didn't want the liability I had. But I know too many people who are important to me who are lost in this system without a voice to get free. So I signed their bylaws and I continued to write, bringing the issues honestly to light. And I called to the people to make their voice heard, and if it was said for the record, I wrote every word. I have no money and I cannot walk, but when Jodi James was chair, the people could talk. But there is too much corruption and too much fraud, and too many people valuing money, not God. So when we went to D.C., Jodi and we met with Tom Kelly and talked eye to eye. We didn't know if he'd listen, but we had to try, because in our backward state, too many die. We had no money and we could not walk, but we were officers of ICOIL, ready to talk, because people do matter and we were both fair. ICOIL lynched us when we weren't even there.